Robinson, Auburn, Alabama, around the SEC, and around the nation. This is the Saturday Sports Countdown. To be a part of the program, call 256-234-6221. Now, let's join Brett, Randy, and Luke for the Saturday Sports Countdown.
Good Saturday morning out there to everybody, and welcome into the Sports Blitz Saturday Sports Countdown. Scott, my New Year's resolution coming up is to get the intro change for you. Okay, man?
I'll take it.
It's time. I know we said that last week, but welcome everybody. Glad to see all of you out there tuning us in and listening to us as we get started on the early part of Saturday here, and we'll head into the 9 o'clock hour with you. We'll be here with you for 2 hours. So. We're glad that you've joined us here to start your Saturday morning post-Christmas. So we know a lot of people out there coming off of as Andy said yesterday, a little hangover from Christmas, and kind of get out of the routine and kind of get into the Christmas swing of things. And now we get back into our normal routine. And we want to thank our sponsors here on the show: JR Sports Bar and Grill and Sunshine Heating and Air. Couldn't do the program without either one of them. Just two really good companies, two really good established families there that have been taking care of the Lake Martin area for a long time, and we're glad that they're part of our program. Scott, good to see you. Hope you guys had a great Christmas.
Yeah, it was really good. Had some time to kind of relax and enjoy some family time, and obviously Santa was good as well. So I hope you guys had.
What is that?
Well, I mean, this is the thing. So
you have to force yourself to do that.
We're actually, my work schedule coincided with what a teacher's break was. Man. So we don't go back until the 6th. So this has been a pretty good refresh. You're
longer than us.
Yeah,
I mean, we go back
pretty
on
refreshing.
I think we go back on the 2nd. So you get 4 more days.
But
good on you. So
it's been good to sit and watch some football. Whether it's been good football or not, there's been
some okay football. I mean, great football yet, but hopefully that'll change today with the college football playoffs starting. Is it weird? I mean, I'm glad that they moved. Well, it is. They moved it up on purpose because you don't want to pile everything on New Year's Day. It's the Saturday before New Year's. It's I think a good reprieve. You still give New Year's Day its due. You still got some really good games on New Year's Day, but you don't have everything slammed on New Year's Day at one time. You get these playoffs in, and I think also, I know it's only a few days, but it allows the teams to go ahead and travel a week earlier and get in the flow, because you remember how long the layoff was between that and the BCS National Championship game when there wasn't playoffs, man. That you play first part of December and you wouldn't play again until January the
36 or 7 days. I think Auburn had to wait between
the SEC
championship.
It felt like forever, which it was forever, really. And so you kind of get out of sync. You kind of do. You try to do some things to try to stay in mid-season form, but it's almost like you have to relearn everything again in some form or fashion. But we'll talk about those two games on today. We'll talk about the bowl season that's about halfway through now. So lots of games every day from this point on as we move on through. Yesterday on Auburn Blitz, don't know how many of you caught that out there. We did something with Auburn, and we'll look at Alabama's too today. All-time rated recruits according to 24/7. We'll go through the top 10 for Auburn in football, and we'll go through the top 10 for Alabama all time. And 24/7 been ranking recruits since 1999 or 2000, I think, Scott. So it doesn't go back forever. It's just since the recruiting rankings for 24/7 have come out, and they have their point scale. And we'll go back and we'll see which ones of those panned out, which ones did not. For both Auburn and Alabama. Of course, Auburn and Alabama basketball about to hit SEC play next week in January, kind of symbolic of the start of the SEC schedule. Just your opening thoughts on Auburn and Alabama basketball, where those two programs are heading in to the SEC play, because I'll kind of just preface this before you say something. I'm a little concerned about Auburn on the offensive side, and I'm a little bit high on Alabama on the offensive side. And I know if you look at the records, you go, what are you talking? I think Alabama's starting to get it a little bit, and it's because of John Petty. Auburn defensively kind of reminds me of Virginia last year. They just shut people down. so they can win games when they're struggling on offense. But, Scott, I'm a little concerned if Auburn doesn't get some more continuity on offense and get a little bit more comfortable out there. Teams like Alabama, teams like Mississippi State, where you got to go on the road here in the first 4 games, they're going to be a problem for that Auburn team.
I'll start with I'll start with Alabama, and I'll piggyback on that. I think that their record isn't necessarily reflective of how the season will be finished for them. They've dealt with a lot of injuries. Yeah, they've had a lot of injuries. Had they had the layover. That I know a lot of teams dealt with that, but they went They played 2 games in 14 days. So you combine that with a new coach. So they've had a lot of dynamics for an intro season for somebody coming in. I think that Oates is maintaining it as well as you can. They've lost some really bad ones. Now, I mean, you can't lose to Penn. But at the same time,
I just think that's the beginning of the season for them.
That's true, and I by the time SEC play starts, I think that they're probably middle of the pack.
The difference is John Petty.
Yeah, well, so they thrive on that. I mean, this is obviously the best player they've had from a consistency standpoint since Colin Sexton. So I mean, can he be this consistent all the way through? I think the answer is no, but. Man, on that given night, when he comes out there and he hits 10 threes on you, you're in trouble because he paired with Kyra Lewis can't do it by himself. But if it's him and Kyra Lewis scoring 15, 18, 20 points apiece, they can beat anybody, I think, with the pieces they have right now. I think Nate Oates is a good coach. I think it ultimately, and with any program, Auburn's living proof that you have to give people time to get their system in place and get their players. But looking at Auburn's side of it, I think that this team just has I don't know if they have a true identity yet. You knew what you were getting with last year's team, a high-volume shooting team, played on the perimeter, and they were going to score 80, 85, 90 points a game. Now, this team is capable of doing that, but as you said, they put a little more emphasis on defense, so you're playing a different style of game, too, with somebody like Wiley getting more involved, so you can play a little more inside-out comparative to last year. But defensively, I think they're much better, but I still think that they've had some nice team wins, but right now, I guess you would still say it's Samir. I guess you would say it's Samir's team, but anybody from Javon or even somebody like Okoro, Purefoy, so that team is capable of having multiple guys go off.
Yeah, well, I think what we looked for is where your points going to come from with losing Harper, losing Bryce Brown, especially those two guys, your top 2 offensive performers. Well, we've seen that this team has stepped up, and now 5, like you said, 6 guys could possibly put 20 on the board for you any given night. So that's one of the positives. I don't want to be negative on the team that's number 8 in the country, but I just think people need to understand that in SEC play, if they struggle offensively against the Arkansas, against the Mississippi States, against the Alabamas on the road, could be trouble. And so
there aren't any more of those games on the schedule either in SEC play. Maybe 1 or 2, but for the most part, you can't look at on a team and say, all right, this is a chance for a W.
No.
I mean, you have to come and play.
There's no elite teams in this conference this year, in my opinion. I think obviously Auburn and Kentucky have kind of separated themselves. Tennessee a close third. In Kentucky, we've seen them struggle with some lesser thans. But there's a lot of good teams in this conference. There's not a lot of terrible teams. There's a lot of good teams in this conference, which means there's going to be a lot of parity. There's going to be a lot of everybody beating each other. So who can survive? South Carolina's already proven they can go on the road to Virginia and win. So that's scary. There's a lot of I think the top half of the conference is pretty good. And I don't know how many teams will translate into the NCAA tournament by the end of the year. But right now, going into SEC play, if you're an Auburn fan, this isn't we're going to run off the schedule. This is 4 games right out of the gate that you look at from a schedule standpoint, you should be good. But if you don't come out and play your A game, you could also lose any of those 4. So, and we kind of take them in 4-game increments in the SEC. Yeah. You don't want to look too far ahead. But the first 4 games, it's a pretty good draw for Auburn. I mean, again, start off with Mississippi State on the road. Auburn has had some recent success over in Starkville, but we know historically in this conference for anybody outside of Kentucky, it's hard to go on the road and win. We've kind of gotten Auburn fans immune to that. This basketball team has by going on the road the last 2 years and winning more than they've lost. But you can remember the days. It's been difficult. You go on the road, you pretty much just say, that's an L. That's what you used to do with the schedule. Go down through there and go, well, that's an L, that's an L, that's an L.
You wanted to win your home games. And basically, that was it. Just split. If you
split,
could split,
and that would give you a chance to go. And but the good thing is Auburn Arena is a very, very tough place to come in and play for opponents now. And in SEC play, I think this team will, ramp its intensity up just like all the other teams will when they get. But Auburn has to play Kentucky twice this year. Got to go up there, and then they come to Auburn. So Auburn has played Kentucky a lot here in the last 3 years. Obviously, the last one this past year in the Elite Eight, winning that overtime game. But we'll continue to talk about that. If you got a phone call you'd like to give us to talk about something that is on your mind, or if you'd like to comment on Facebook Live, we'd love for you to. But our phone number is 256-234-6221 to be part of the program. It's the only show we have now where you can actually call and you can be part of the program by phone. We'd love to hear from you out there this morning, whatever it is that you might be doing. Probably a lot of people still in the bed, 7 o'clock on a Saturday after Christmas. People catch the show later on in the day, but not a lot of people setting their alarm to get up at 7 o'clock on Saturday. Like you said, when they still have a little bit of a break.
Yeah. There's still a little time, but it should be an entertaining show today. So thank you guys for tuning in.
No doubt about it. Up against our first break. Stay tuned. More of the Saturday Sports Countdown right after this.
What's the verdict?
Can't fix your heat pump. Need a new one.
Uh-oh. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking Daikin.
Call on Kevin Kill in Sunshine Heating and Air at 256-825-4849, Central Alabama's premier Daikin dealer.
So what's he thinking?
Oh, he's thinking Daikin.
Daikin, one of the top selling in the world.
Now I'm thinking Daikin.
Daikin. Comfort for life.
Find everything you need for the perfect outdoor living space at Russell Do-It Center, like the Fire Rock Outdoor Conventional Fireplace, smartly designed masonry systems that are easy to install and are less than half the cost of a scratch-built brick and mortar fireplace. Weber Grills, the best outdoor gas, electric, and charcoal grills, which always come pre-assembled. Yeti Coolers, premium coolers and accessories that are the ultimate in design, performance, and durability. Russell Do-It Center, experience and knowledge from the pros.
The same professionals you've trusted with your urgent care is now your primary health provider, Main Street Family Care. We provide annual physical exams as well as monitoring health conditions such as high blood pressure, diabetes, asthma, and more. All major insurances accepted, Medicaid, Medicare, and have self-pay options to accommodate everyone. See us in Alex City, just across from Walmart. Your care is our primary concern.
Main Street Family Urgent Care. Heal better, feel better fast.
If you're seeing the American cockroach, throw up the red flag. Ladybugs, throw up the red flag. Ants and swarming termites, throw up the red flag. And kudzu bugs, throw up the red flag. That's Red Flag Pest Control. So the caution is on. Call Red Flag Pest Control today.
I'm Scott Davis with Red Flag Pest Control. Call me today, 256-825-0430.
Ladies and gentlemen, Kia of Auburn. Kia of Auburn on South College. New Kias at 0% APR financing and no payments for 90 days.
Kia of Auburn. Kia of Auburn. Kia of Auburn.com.
This is Coach Pat Dye. At Kia of Auburn, you are always number one.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Sports Blitz Saturday Sports Countdown. Give us a call, 256-234-6221, if there's something that you would like to talk about. Also, you can follow us there on Facebook Live and comment away on all the different things that we talk about today, and we'd love for you to be part of it. Yesterday, La Tech, Miami. La Tech, 14-0 over Miami. That is. We started the show yesterday by talking about that game, and I know what the U stands for now, and it ain't U University. It's ugly. That's what that program. It's just shocking to me how fast some of these prominent programs, how dominant they were, how they lose their feel when you don't keep up with things. When you get narrow-minded and you go, well, everybody's going to come to us. Everybody's got to come up to our level, and you don't enhance what you do. You don't enhance your facilities. You don't enhance the things that make your program better. You don't advance with the times. And literally, Miami's been left in a time warp. Their facilities are trash. Miami feels like it's another country away from everybody else in the ACC. I just feel like that they're a victim of their own laziness and not paying attention to the things that they needed to keep up. They think that all these recruits just going to continue to pile in and want to come play for Miami. And I told Andy yesterday, I said, I think the biggest problem with Miami from the start, they caught lightning in a bottle in the 80s. Howard Schnellenberger came in there. He declared everything south of Daytona the state of Miami. He kind of gave them an identity. They had that rogue kind of off the chart type of personality. And then you get Jimmy Johnson and Dennis Erickson that follow him. And they had more of a faddish fan base from a national standpoint. Miami really doesn't have a fan base. And if you look at their support in the stands, they just don't have a lot of fan support from the university. So now that they're struggling, it's hard to piggyback off. I mean, they've got the Michael Irvins and they've got, the Ray Lewises, and they've got those type of players. But how many times do you see any of them talking about Miami anymore? I mean, their ambassadors aren't really talking about that program or trying to come back to help promote that program. But anyway, the reason I bring that up is that the Texases, the USCs who got beat again last night, Miami for the second straight year doesn't score a touchdown in a bowl game. I mean, this is not just bad football. It's embarrassing to this program. And in this day and age with the competition of recruiting and facilities and the arms race, hey, we got to upscale this and we got to upscale that to stay up on the top of the mountain. Miami's so far behind, Scott, and some of these programs are falling so far behind, I don't know if they'll ever come back.
I mean, if you look at the turn of the millennium, they were the premier program in college football. From maybe 01 to 03, there will never be a team, even all these Alabama teams have been, the amount of talent that was concentrated on one team was outstanding. And I'm with you. I think that they don't have they have a national fan base, but it was kind of like you said, it was during a faddish time, and so you didn't have a strong alumni support from a financial
people in LA were wearing Miami jackets, starter jackets, and up in New York, it was the thing because they were the team that you got to remember. Everybody wasn't on TV all the time. They were garnering a lot of TV exposure. They had a lot of the coaches that had that bad boy image. Jimmy Johnson challenging Notre Dame, trying to make that rivalry game out of that, and that's what it took for Miami, basically a private institution down in the south part of Florida, to find a national footprint. And nobody wants to go to Miami right now. If you're a top-ranked recruit, you can't even. You're not even in Florida. You're not even considering Miami. So they're not even winning their state. So I think they've got to go back and relook at what Howard Schnellenberger did and say, look, here's it
happens so quick. I mean, you look at the 03 game with Ohio State, that championship year. They lose that game, and pretty much since then, they shouldn't have. That propelled a whole nother thing with Ohio State really maintaining their stay up there. But as far as Miami goes now, there is no. I think that we talked so badly about Tennessee and where they were.
Well, Tennessee can be added into that mix too.
Nebraska, some of those, but I think Miami may be the worst out of all of them. Because there's no. I don't even know what you do.
Scott, they haven't even scored a touchdown in a bowl game in 2 years.
It's tough to watch.
La Tech, man. Now I know La Tech had a good team this year, but this is supposed to be Miami. They have that image is what carried them forever, and they don't. I mean, there's nothing that shows you any hope of that coming back. None at all.
Do you get? I mean, you're saying that, and they, kind of a gimmicky start of how their prominence began. Do you just get somebody like, I'm just going to say like, I'm just using somebody who's more of a personality and not so much concerned. I think you need something to draw kids there now, because nobody's going there because of any success. If you're a kid in high school now, you have no idea of Miami being of any prominence during your lifetime. So it's hard to tell a kid, hey, you can come here.
That's the thing that if you're looking at some of these programs, every single year that goes by that you don't get it turned around, the further away from relevancy you become. Nebraska, how did Nebraska lose its, again, I hate to say it, but location, being out in the middle of nothing, being kind of obscure, and not just saying, the N on the side of that helmet doesn't mean anything to these kids now. It's about how do you sell this program and how do you compare to the teams that you're competing with around. In Miami, the U on the side of that helmet doesn't mean anything to Florida State. Look how fast they fell from grace. Now, we'll see if they can get it back with Norvell and a rejuvenation, but Clemson's so much further ahead of them. And who would have thought Clemson? We just 15 years ago, we were using Clemson as a verb. They Clemsoned. Yeah. And they were known for that. In big games, couldn't win, always found a way to lose. But now Dabo Swinney comes in, and now they're the benchmark of college football. And a lot of people are saying, Clemson may have even challenged and taken that mantle from Alabama with the consistency that they've had in back-to-back playoff and going for another national championship this year. So I think the reason I bring all that up is because – especially Alabama's got Nick Saban, he kind of set the bar. But Auburn fans over here, and we've had numerous discussions about what your expectations are. And I think the frustrating thing about going 8-5 and with Gus Malzahn and losing a couple games you're not supposed to is because you can fall into the realm of mediocrity pretty quick, and before you know it, you're down in the quicksand up to your waist, and there's no way out of it. You can blink Tennessee, and one day you can be less than Vanderbilt. And, Auburn fans are so notorious for going, well, it's okay, we'll be, it's Auburn, we love Auburn, all this kind of stuff. But you have to maintain a level of expectancy with your program and say, this is not tolerable. To be less than this with the talent we've got and the facilities. And so the reason Gus Malzahn or any coach like that stays on a hot seat, Scott, is because the fans and the program expect to be competitive. If you ever lose that edge, you can see where you can fall in the realm of things. We've just named off 5 prominent college football programs over the last 40 or 50 years that are not relevant right now. I'm totally irrelevant. So I don't know. Some people say it's a little bit obsessive, and some people go, man, that's a little bit over the top to think that your program can go 10 or 11 wins every single year, but that's where your expectation level needs to be.
That's where
if you want to be an elite.
I'm really trying to condition myself. And it's not that as an Auburn fan, I'm accepting the mediocrity by any means. But there's something, I just feel like
Gus realizes it this year, though, with the emphasis and continuing and the players stressing how important this 10th win is. That's all you hear them talk about right now. We're going to be down, we're going to have fun, but we came here to win. They realized what happened 2 years ago in the Chick-fil-A Bowl, or the Peach Bowl in Atlanta, how they laid an egg over there. I just think the program, Gus Malzahn, the players realize to stay elite, you got to show that you're elite. You can't talk about being elite. You got to show that you're elite. And you got to have something that backs that logo on the side of the helmet. That Tennessee T right now don't mean squat to anybody. Now they can get it back. Jeremy Pruitt can get it back. But that U on the side of that Miami helmet doesn't mean anything right now. That N on the side of that Nebraska helmet doesn't mean anything. And Southern Cal, how they're keeping Clay Helton, I'll never know.
I don't understand.
Just a total disaster. So.
And they're in the best position out of everybody of those teams that are kind of like they should be.
They're in the Pac-12.
Yeah,
and they got the last rated recruiting class in the Pac-12. How do you fall to that point if you're that program? Up against our next break. Stay tuned. More of the Sports Blitz Saturday Sports Countdown right after this.
Growing your business isn't just one thing, it's a million little things. Should you lease, rent, or own? How fast can you get that part? Does it fit the budget? That's what your local Cat dealer is here for. With expert advice, flexible financing, and industry-leading equipment, you can get the job done, day after day. Visit ThompsonCat.com, your compact equipment provider.
WOTM, your new home for high school sports in Alabama. WOTM has you covered with live coverage of all 7 championship games of the Super 7. WOTM is available to all TV providers in Alabama. If WOTM is not currently a part of your channel lineup, call your provider and request that they add WOTM. WOTM, your exclusive TV home for the AHSAA Super 7 basketball, baseball, and softball championships. All live only on WOTM.
What's behind the CA?
A world full of opportunities.
Where are you now? Where are you going?
Where do you want to be?
These are all important in determining your path in life.
More importantly, why be ordinary
when you can be extraordinary?
At Central Alabama Community College, you can be anything you wish to be.
Don't put your future on hold and don't settle for less than excellence.
We are Central Alabama Community College.
Central to you.
Central to your success.
Be the hostess with the mostest this holiday season at Chicken Salad Chick with our easy party catering. Need a quick appetizer? Stop by Chicken Salad Chick and grab a quick chick of any chicken salad flavor or the pimento cheese ball covered with crushed pecans and crispy bacon. Remember, no meal is complete without a sweet treat. For a limited time, our pumpkin cheesecake is back and it's delicious. Chicken Salad Chick can feed any holiday crowd with our custom fit catering. 12 flavors of chicken salad, there's sure to be something for every taste bud.
Skag, the toughest name in lawnmowers. Unmatched quality and performance for over 3 decades. The clear choice, the best mower money can buy for work or at home. Top lawn care professionals and discerning homeowners know that Skag means productivity and reliability. Every Skag mower is proudly built right here in the USA. Don't settle for anything less than simply the best. Skag.
Satterfield Outdoor Living on Highway 280 in Alex City.
So, you may not know it, but you've seen our work everywhere. For a combined 50 years, SignSource has been Central Alabama's premier option for all your sign needs. Custom signs for your business, club, or organization. Wraps and decals for your vehicle or boat. Full-color banners for your big sale, or a photo collage on canvas for grandma. All with fast, friendly, prompt service. Check out our website at signsourcenow.com. 888-533-6758. Go straight to the source. SignSource.
Did a good job of recruiting Scott back to the good side of expectations with unrealistic expectations of winning a national championship every year. But no, I really do think that's where your mentality, your fan base, it starts with the fire in your fan base. If you lose the fire in your fan base and you become accepting of 8-5 and you start telling everybody, well, it's okay. If Auburn weren't paying the money they paid and they didn't have the facilities they had and they didn't show the emphasis, Auburn basketball should be the prime example of you can take the worst program in the country, and if you put money into it and you go out and you show that it's important and you tell, you follow up what you say. Now, I know Jay Jacobs not there anymore, but I will give him credit for saying, look, we're going to pay top 20 money to a coach to come into this program to turn this thing around. We're tired of losing. And Bruce Pearl comes in. It was perfect timing, perfect marriage for this program. And Bruce Pearl comes in. And, yeah, it took 3 years of him on the ground. That's how bad this program was. But now he took this program to a Final Four. He took Auburn basketball to and should have won the game and had the game stolen away by a bad no call and a ticky-tack foul. That's what it took. Did you think you would ever see, I got a couple of scenarios. First of all, ever see Auburn in a Final Four? And yeah, we're still talking about last year's Final Four, but I may still talk about it in 20 years. But I mean, Auburn in a Final Four, did you think that was ever? Man, when basketball season rolled around for Auburn fans, it was just something to do.
Hey, you want to go down there to the basketball? Nah, I'd rather go walk through a briar patch today. Okay. All right. I mean, there's other things that you can go do and find, but now it's like the toughest ticket in the world. I mean, tickets to Lipscomb and Lehigh are $150 a piece. I mean, it's amazing what you can do. And then Tennessee on the flip side, the two scenarios I was going to give you. Do you think in 1998, if you walked up to a Tennessee fan and told them you were going to be dominated to the point of where you won 5 games in 2 decades against your arch rival Alabama, and that you were going to be in the pits of you know what as far as a program, they'd have laughed you out. That you would have been laughed out of a bar if you'd brought that up. But look what happened 20 years later. They have been one of the worst programs from a big boy standpoint in the conference. They have fallen down to 4th or 5th in their own division, probably 9th or 10th in the SEC as a program, with flashes of good years, flashes, but nothing any to sustain. That's how fast, when you lose your expectation, you can fall, but you also can build your program up out of the depths of you know what and bring it up to a level that you never thought it would be at.
Yeah, and again, we talked about it last week, and coaching plays a major part in that, and we've all at some point or another have been very critical of Gus Malzahn, and a lot of it I do think, if you put everything in context, he's been about as successful of a coach that you could ask for, especially during this, to endure this. You brought that up during the break, to endure this era of Alabama football, and that to be your arch rival, plus what Georgia's doing, now LSU. I mean, there's a lot of things that, as an Auburn fan or as a coach at Auburn, that you have to deal with that other fan bases or other programs don't have to deal with from a rivalry standpoint and the strength of your schedule. But it all boils down to the fact that now, as you said, this – for me, this is what I would consider like the floor for an Auburn season. Like, you should never go less than 9-3.
Should never go less. I'll give them 8-4. I think 8-4 should be the worst that you should ever go. Because look, and again, I know we play a tough schedule, and I know we're in the West, which is the toughest division in college football. I mean, when you look at what Texas A&M's doing with the money they have, you look at Alabama, LSU, you look at Auburn. And then you look at just in this division, how many national championships have been determined in the last 10 years? Okay? It's crazy to think about the dominance of Alabama, and then you mix Auburn, and then you mix LSU in there. That's in one division of one conference, man. So I get it. I understand, and you can recruit 7th nationally and be 5th in your conference. I understand all that, but when you're sandwiched in there, there ain't a hill of beans worth of difference between you and number 2. Now, number 1 may separate themselves in recruiting, but 3 through 7, you're all right there. You've gotten solid players. You've gotten a lot of 4 stars. You've gotten a couple of 5 stars. So you're building a good, solid recruiting class, so you should be competitive. There's a lot. The reason I bring that up is there's a lot of teams, Scott, that go 8-4 every year. Temple, Wake Forest, Oklahoma State. Now, I know they're playing lesser than schedule, so, again, it's not apples to apples. But on the surface, to an average fan, you go, well, man, USC's a terrible team, and they went 8-4 this year. You get grouped by your company, by your record. So you separate who gets all the national talk right now? Ohio State, Alabama, and Clemson. Now you got LSU this year, but who have been the mainstays in the college football playoffs? Here's another thing for Auburn. Auburn's had some great seasons. They hadn't even been to the playoff yet. They were close in 17. They were close this year. If you win one of those 2 games on the road against Florida or LSU, you're probably right there in the thick of it. You let Georgia come in and beat you 21-0 through 3 quarters. I mean, that's the thing that Auburn fans yearn to get rid of. If they beat you 24-21, that's fine. But come out and be ready to play in every one of these games. Don't blow 2 20-point leads to LSU 2 years in a row. You know what I mean? I mean, so you think about the last 3 years in how close Auburn's been to beating LSU, and they have nothing to show for it but an L. And so close don't count in football. And so that's one of the things that I think you can't lose your mental edge of expectations of where your football program is.
Well, all right, so now you're on the flip side. If you're sitting there, you're Alabama, and you're coming back-to-back years where you won't be national champion. This year you don't even have the opportunity to play for a national championship. Where are they still? I know we talked about Clemson, Alabama, but right now, so are they still considered like especially in the SEC? I know they are, but are they considered the benchmark for?
If you do it 2 or 3 years in a row, no, because somebody else takes the torch. And Justin brings up a good point as he sends a message over. He said, and as far as Auburn, you also get the best in the East every year, which is Georgia. So add that to your schedule.
And we had Florida this year.
I mean, now you can't play a tougher schedule than what Auburn. And I give them credit for that. To me, this year may have been the best coaching year Gus Malzahn's had. Go 9-3 in this schedule, and we knew how brutal it would be, but. No, how quickly you can be turned to irrelevancy is by not performing year in and year out. That's why Nick Saban stresses what happened last year don't matter anymore. I think there's something to that. Some people say, well, that's just coach speak. No, I think he really understands that if you sit there and rest on what you did last year, then you become mediocre this year. This team has nothing to do with what happened on last year's team. And the success of last year's team or previous year's teams have no relevancy to determine what kind of success you're going to have this year. So you have to have that. That's why he's been so good, is that he's able to maintain that level of mental toughness and consistency of, man, it don't matter what we've done in the past. If we want to continue to do this, you've got to establish your own identity. So I think that's where it is. If Alabama misses the playoffs 2 or 3 years in a row, what's going to be the talk on this show? What's going to be the talk on the shows around the country? What's going to happen?
And that's
Nick Saban just ain't got it anymore. You know, that's how fast you can fall.
And that's kind of where I was getting to is I was watching I'm sure you've seen it now, but the Belichick and Saban documentary.
Oh, yeah.
And just how obsessive and how driven by success they are. And I'm thinking now, I was like, all right, this could have been one of the better things that happened to him. I think you haven't had a time to really, not that you want to be in this situation, but kind of can hit a reset button and say, all right, this won't happen again.
Yeah.
Like this,
well, you miss an opportunity, you don't finish on some things, and all of a sudden you're out of the dance, and then you know what it feels like. This Alabama team, now it's a thing with how is this team gonna rank in the history of Nick Saban teams. Well, this team didn't make it to the playoff. They didn't play for a national championship, so people are going to go, well, that team had 2, but they just didn't really accomplish anything. So they're going to kind of be forgotten. And that kind of self drives them within their own programs. Like, look, we're not going to let last year upscale what we're going to do this year. I think there's a lot to all of that. Up against another break. Stay tuned. More of the Saturday Sports Countdown right after this.
Hi, this is Brian Bice with Bice Motors. With our all-star lineup of Dodge trucks, Jeep, SUVs, and Chrysler cars, we offer the area a team dedicated to making your next vehicle purchase a positive experience. Our sales team offers competitive pricing, and we back up all sales with a service department second to none. Bice Motors also offers the area's best selection of pre-owned vehicles. Visit Bice Motors at 2133 Cherokee Road in Alexander City.
Guaranteed lowest price. Buy it at Bice Motors.
WOTM, your new home for high school sports in Alabama. WOTM has you covered with live coverage of all 7 championship games of the Super 7. WOTM is available to all TV providers in Alabama. If WOTM is not currently a part of your channel lineup, call your provider and request that they add WOTM. WOTM, your exclusive TV home for the AHSAA Super 7 basketball, baseball, and softball championships. All live only on WOTM.
What's the verdict?
Can't fix your heat pump. Need a new one.
Uh-oh. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking Daikin.
Call on Kevin Kill and Sunshine Heating and Air at 256-825-4849, Central Alabama's premier Daikin dealer.
So what's he thinking?
Oh, he's thinking Daikin.
Daikin, one of the top selling in the world.
Now I'm thinking Daikin.
Daikin. Comfort for life. Since the dawn of time, mankind has needed tools. But not all tools are created equal. AGF Machine Rental Sales and Service has tools for all commercial construction or big residential projects. AGF Machinery offers the most durable and hardworking brands of ASV, Skyjack, and Wacker Neuson. Aerial lifts, scissor lifts, loaders, excavators, and forest equipment on demand for the best possible price. And backed by the Southeast's best team of professionals. Visit any of our strategic locations across Alabama for all your equipment needs. Or online at agfmachinery.com.
Hey Realtors, do you know about LMG Ad Agency? We build your brand and help sell your properties or a unique lifestyle so you can focus on your clients. We focus on professional photos, videos, aerial photography and videography, and commercial real estate. We'd love to tell your story. Contact us today at 256-392-4250 or visit our website at lmgadagency.com.
A&M Plumbing, A&M Plumbing, service at its best when you need it most.
From the smallest drippy faucet to drain cleaning to water heater replacement to gas lines to total systems replacement, A&M Plumbing handles it all. Visit amplumbing.net today for the experienced, licensed, and insured pros at A&M Plumbing.
A&M Plumbing, A&M Plumbing, service at its best when you need it most.
Welcome back to the Sports Blitz Saturday Sports Countdown, presented by Sunshine Heating and Air and JR Sports Bar and Grill. Hey, look, living in the South puts heat pumps through the gauntlet, man. I mean, it can be 70. I mean, literally in one day you can be flipping from heat to air. So it puts a strain on those machines, and when yours goes out, you need to call Sunshine Heating and Air because they're going to come out. The thing I like about Kevin Keel and his staff is when you buy from them, their product, they take pride in it, and if something messes up, it doesn't matter if it's on the weekend. You call them, they're going to figure out a way to come out there and get you back up and running. That's the kind of service and dedication that goes behind Sunshine Heating and Air. And, of course, JR Sports Bar and Grill, they've been with us for 13 years, Scott, 13 years on our program. And they believed in us when we just kind of came out of the ground, you know, and everybody was like, well, what's those guys doing? So
it's been a long journey.
It's been a long ride, but hopefully a lot longer. But
yeah.
But JR Sports Bar and Grill been a long time sponsor of our program. Like I said, you know, I just kind of gave you an example of something that's where kids this day and age, their mind is what's important. I mean, so if you're hanging out down in Miami with the U on the side of your helmet going, well, man, Michael Irvin was good. They're like, who would know? Heck is Michael Irvin? You know, that's you've lost it. You've lost touch. You've got to stay up with it. So we'll have Luke Robinson call in at 8 o'clock to talk a little bit about Alabama's trip to the Citrus Bowl, and all-time recruits will pull up here in just a second. We'll go ahead and start with Auburn's. Since we're talking about that, where did the recruits rank all-time? Now, this goes back to just 2000. And then we're not even going to talk about that. We're going to do the last decade. How's Auburn done in the last decade from 2000 to 2000 or 2010 to 2019, excuse me. The first one's Byron Cowart. Byron Cowart's the number one all-time recruit based on points for Auburn, Scott. So as we know, he ended up with 15 tackles in his career.
He was pretty good.
Number one player in the country, by the way. I just thought I'd let you all remember that. Number two is Derek Brown. I'd say he panned out. His stats, 165 tackles, 33 and a half tackles for loss, and 13 sacks. Now, I want you to understand this.
That's a D tackle.
That's a D tackle, but guess what? Byron Cowart and Derek Brown had potential to play together for 3 years. You would have thought, man, a Derek Brown, a five-star from Georgia, Byron Cowart, number one player in the country on the same defensive line as him. Byron Cowart, his technique, and when he'd come in the game, I'd watch. I guess he thought he was still in high school because he didn't try to spin, he didn't try to swim, he didn't try to cut. He just ran right into the chest of the offensive lineman, and whoever was blocking him was like, well, man, this is the easiest day I've had. And then so after 3 or 4 consecutive plays of just going into the chest of them. They come on back over here and sit with me. You know, that was the signal that he got frustrated. But when you basically out there playing with 10 men because you don't know how to do anything, it doesn't matter what your ranking was recruit-wise. But Byron Cowart, number 1, Derek Brown, number 2, Michael Dyer, number 3. I'll say he panned out. You know, 2,335 yards, 5.5 yards a carry, 15 touchdowns. Was the MVP of the national championship game. Again, it was down there during a time where Gene Chizik lost control of the program, and things off the field contributed to him and several other players either going to jail or getting kicked off the team or having to leave. It was a bad culture during that time. You can say what you want to about Gene Chizik and his Chizisms and all that crap on Twitter. I mean, he lost control of the program. And so it went downhill. Auburn went to the cellar. I mean, from 2012 was the depths of Auburn
really
football.
could. I mean, it honestly,
depths of Auburn football.
Auburn football, after the 2010 national
we could have
championship,
easily took the path of Tennessee.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, we were and we just did what
it was
we
a
kind of
miracle.
do. We
Did
stayed
you see the
keen and
recruiting
killed.
class we had in 13 coming off that 12 year? It's like Andy said, that was the miracle. He's like, you still got all these guys to come after you laid the biggest egg in your program's history. And that the sales job of Chizik leaving and Malzahn coming in and somehow salvaging a decent class in 13, it may be the most remarkable thing in the history of our program. Maybe he needs to have a lot more credit than we give him.
We're going to go down, and you look at some of these 13s, and you're like, well, man, how did we get them to come after that?
I mean, how did you probably had – we hardly ever get 2 or 3 5-stars in a class. Got 2 following the dumpiest season in our history. So that's amazing. Montravius Adams is number 4. Definitely think he panned out. 147 tackles, 19.5 for loss, 10.5 sacks. He was a sack machine in his position. Christian Westerman, number 1 lineman in the country, 5-star, never played. Never played a down. Came here from Arizona, ended up going back to Arizona. So worked out for him. Tried it over here, didn't work. Carl Lawson is 6th. Those numbers are, and Randy's been probably the biggest critic of Carl Lawson. And he's when you base it on numbers, you look at numbers, 67 tackles, 14.5 sacks. Now he did get in the backfield a lot, but he was hampered with a lot of injuries. Never could stay on the field, Scott.
Yeah, I think that he didn't perform. He underperforms in comparison to even somebody like who wasn't as highly recruited, but like a D4. So, I mean, even looking at those numbers, but I think that he, from an NFL standpoint, I mean, obviously he's playing now, but the numbers never panned out how we thought.
No, not for sure. Rock Thomas is 7th. Ended up transferring to Jacksonville State. Owen Papo is 8th. Calvin Ashley is 9th, and started 1 game and got murdered against Mississippi State. Everybody was yearning to see Calvin Ashley. Why's Calvin Ashley not playing? Well, we saw Montez Sweat is still running by him. He ain't touched him yet. So that ended. I know the young man may have had some medical issues, but after that, there was something hurt, and it was his feelings. After that game, he quit the next week. He quit the next week. I don't blame him. If I'd have looked back at the film and saw what I had done to me by Montez Sweat, I'd have quit too. And then number 10, Trey Williams, 188 tackles, 10 tackles for loss, 3.5 sacks. Definitely panned out as an Auburn Tiger. So basically, you hit on 5, you missed on 5. Top 10 of this past decade. We'll take a break. Stay tuned. More of the Sports Blitz Saturday Sports Countdown right after this.
The same professionals you've trusted with your urgent care is now your primary health provider, Main Street Family Care. We provide annual physical exams as well as monitoring health conditions such as high blood pressure, diabetes, asthma, and more. All major insurances accepted, Medicaid, Medicare, and have self-pay options to accommodate everyone. See us in Alex City, just across from Walmart. Your care is our primary concern.
Main Street Family Urgent Care. Heal better, feel better fast.
WOTM, your new home for high school sports in Alabama. WOTM has you covered with live coverage of all 7 championship games of the Super 7. WOTM is available to all TV providers in Alabama. If WOTM is not currently a part of your channel lineup, call your provider and request that they add WOTM. WOTM, your exclusive TV home for the AHSAA Super 7 basketball, baseball, and softball championships. All live only on WOTM.
Growing your business isn't just one thing, it's a million little things. Should you lease, rent, or own? How fast can you get that part? Does it fit the budget? That's what your local cat dealer is here for. With expert advice, flexible financing, and industry-leading equipment, you can get the job done day after day. Visit ThompsonCat.com, your compact equipment provider.
Expect it or not, the loss of a loved one is difficult. Put your family first by planning ahead. This is Joseph Dean, new owner of Alabama Funeral Homes and Cremation Centers. We are a full-service funeral home with an on-site crematory and cemetery. Whether your need is immediate or you would like to plan in advance, our experienced, compassionate staff can assist you in designing an enduring memorial experience, burial, or cremation. Alabama Funeral Homes and Cremation Centers on Highway 280 in Camp Hill or online, alabamafuneralhomes.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, Kia of Auburn. Kia of Auburn on South College. New Kias at 0% APR financing and no payments for 90 days. Kia of Auburn. Kia of Auburn. Kia of Auburn.com.
This is Coach Pat Dye. Kia of Auburn, you are always number one.
I'm Jimmy Goree with Goree's Furniture. We would like to invite you to come shop our huge selection of furniture. But if you don't have time, we have over 2,000 items you can have shipped directly to your home. Go to GoreesFurniture.com, look for 48-hour quick ship. Shop, click, ship, it's just that easy. You can shop us here, or you can shop us online, only at Goree's Furniture.
Your express way to saving.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Sports Blitz Saturday Sports Countdown, presented by JR Sports Bar and Grill and Sunshine Heating and Air. Heading into the top of the hour, going to be hour number 2 coming up. Luke Robinson will be on with us. We just went down Auburn's top 10 recruits of the decade. Let's talk about Alabama's real quick before Luke comes on. Number 1 in 2011, Cyrus Kwanjo. Number 1 recruit all time for Alabama. Do you remember that debacle, him on stage? I'm going to go
so
to...
what did he didn't fax in the letter?
Well, no, that letter got caught. He didn't fax the letter in because that letter was confiscated. But his parents were shocked. Everybody was, Ghost couldn't have floated in the room and anybody been more shocked than they were because, you know, look, and I don't know what ended up happening, but the facial expression on his parents' face went, son, we have already cashed that. You're going to have to change this. I mean, he just, all of a sudden, he just spurted out Auburn. He was like, everybody thought it was a done deal to Alabama, and he goes, I'm going to go to Auburn. And everybody went. And it was just like complete silence. So anyway, that was a crazy recruiting debacle there. Andre Smith is number 2 all time, but he was in the class of 6. Julio Jones was in the class of 8. He's number 3. Number 4, I don't know how to. Is it Anoma? Is his last name? Outside linebacker. Number 4 all time is not even there anymore.
Yeah, I don't even.
It's Iyabe Anoma, I may be butchering that name, but anyway, in the class of 18, he's not even there as a player anymore. So that's in this decade. Number 5 was Brody Kroll in the class of 2001. So we're using these are the top all time according to 24/7. We're just picking out the ones in this decade. Number 6 is the next one, Najee Harris, 2017. I mean, decent career.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought that, but okay.
I mean, this is crazy, isn't it, to look at and see who pans out and who doesn't. Number 7, Alex Leatherwood, 2017 class. These are the top recruits all time for Alabama, based on points.
I'm shocked
now.
there aren't more offensive linemen.
Here's a guy that gets forgotten, I think. I don't think of him. I think of other offensive linemen, DJ Flukers and, some other guys like, the kid that went to Cincinnati, Andre Smith, Cam Robinson, 2014 class. Good recruit, though.
Yeah.
I thought he had a pretty good career. Deshaun Hand, 2014 class, number 9. And then Patrick Surtain, class of 2018, number 10. But Trent Richardson comes in. He's a 2009. They said the previous decade, but he's 11. Landon Collins is 12.
I was wondering where he was.
I mean, these are Antonio Alfano, who is not even there, never played in 2019. He's the 13th highest rated recruit for Nick Saban. You keep going down the list. Trey Sanders, who's there now, class of 2019, a talented running back who didn't play this year because of a knee injury. We'll see what he is able to do. Reuben Foster in the class of 2013 is 15. Ben Davis, number 16. Nobody's seen.
What's
heard.
Brent Callaway? I wonder.
Brent Callaway probably not on the list. Ha Clinton Dix is 2011 class at number 17. And then the last 3 in number 18 is class of 2014 Tony Brown. Pretty good player.
Yeah.
Ended up being a solid defensive back. Class of 2019, Evan Neal, offensive lineman. We'll see where he ends up. He still has a lot of football left to play. And then 20, Marlon Humphrey is the highest rated, 20 highest rated recruits. On the outside looking in at 21 is Calvin Ridley. So there's a lot of players that Minka Fitzpatrick's, those type players we didn't even name. It's crazy, isn't it?
I mean, I think about all of the linebackers that have come through, all of the multiple skill position players. But, yeah, I mean, that it gives more credit and credence to the amount of talent that they've been able to bring in. But I think we've
Do we have a call? Is it Luke already? It's not Luke. Okay, we'll go to the phone lines. Caller, go ahead. You're on Saturday Sports Countdown. Caller, you there? All right, try us back, and we'd love to hear from you out there. Give us a call, 256-234-6221 as we approach the top of the hour coming up. But, you look down through there and you think about all the top players that have come through Alabama, top-rated recruits. They've had their fair share of guys there in the top 10 that didn't pan out. Wow. So, Andy and I were talking about the top programs, and, basically Auburn in the last decade hit on 5 guys and missed on 5 guys. I mean, when you say missed, you didn't miss on them because you got them to come. Everybody wanted them. I mean, every one of those guys are 5 stars, but some of them didn't pan out for whatever reason. And we named the different reasons why for Auburn those guys didn't pan out. We talked a little bit about why some of those for Alabama didn't pan out. Just doesn't work sometimes.
Yeah, and the thing is, too, I think if you're in a position where if you're Auburn, I think it's probably a little more amplified because they don't have the same amount, so there's the margin for error a lot of times.
That's right.
A little more slim for
Auburn. It is.
But at the same time, this proves it here, though, on a per-year basis. There's really not a lot of difference in 4-star and 5-star. Not your premiers, yes.
Not when you look down and see that Cam Newton was a 4-star.
Yeah, so I'm saying he's
the biggest 5-star that's ever been.
Then Auburn
on the field
is right there, like you said. After 2 through 6, 7 in the recruiting rankings, you're all about the same there. So Auburn really is getting to the point where talent can never be the excuse that's used for
talent should have never been the excuse on any of these years. No. Even in 13, Scott. Even in 12. I mean, look at who Auburn still brought in the class of in the class of 12. in the class of 11 before that, leading into that team. I mean, you got Greg Robinson, Reese Dismukes, Trey Mason, and Sammy Coates that came in to be part of that 2012 team. Trey Mason, a Heisman finalist. Greg Robinson, one of the best tackles Auburn's ever had. Reese Dismukes won the Remington Award for the best center in the country. And then Sammy Coates was probably one of the highest profile receivers we've had in the last 25 years. Those are your top 4 recruits in that class, and then you come back and you get murdered by everybody on the schedule the next year. That tells you that it has nothing to do with the players. It was lack of control. You can take all the players in the world, Scott, but if you're not making them do anything, Gene Chizik brought a firm in, and they still were running wild down there. Whoever hired that firm.
That pretty much the whole Chizik tenure, but from the Chizik time period.
It was out of control, man. I mean, people breaking people's jaws and fights.
It was a lot of.
5 guys got in the car and went and tried to rob somebody.
Spice.
With guns.
That's what they said.
Yeah, it was spice. Spice. Up against the top of the hour break. Stay tuned. More of the Saturday Sports Countdown right after this.
If you haven't been to Big B Barbecue in Alex City, then you're missing the best barbecue around. Big B has everything from the best pulled or chopped pork, chicken, and beef to cheeseburgers and grilled chicken salads. Bring your friends and family out for a great dinner and sit outside on our beautiful patio, or sit inside and enjoy your meal by the fireplace. So come in and join us and enjoy the best barbecue in the area only at Big B Barbecue, located on Highway 22 West in Alex City.
WOTM, your new home for high school sports in Alabama. WOTM has you covered with live coverage of all 7 championship games of the Super 7. WOTM is available to all TV providers in Alabama. If WOTM is not currently a part of your channel lineup, call your provider and request that they add WOTM. WOTM, your exclusive TV home for the AHSAA Super 7 basketball, baseball, and softball championships. All live only on WOTM.
Since the dawn of time, mankind has needed tools. But not all tools are created equal. AGF Machine Rental Sales and Service has tools for all commercial construction or big residential projects. AGF Machinery offers the most durable and hardworking brands of ASV, Skyjack, and Wacker Neusen. Aerial lifts, scissor lifts, loaders, excavators, and forest equipment on demand for the best possible price. And backed by the Southeast's best team of professionals. Visit any of our strategic locations across Alabama for all your equipment needs. Or online at agfmachinery.com.
So, you may not know it, but you've seen our work everywhere. For a combined 50 years, SignSource has been Central Alabama's premier option for all your sign needs. Custom signs for your business, club, or organization. Wraps and decals for your vehicle or boat. Full-color banners for your big sale, or a photo collage on canvas for grandma. All with fast, friendly, prompt service. Check out our website at signsourcenow.com. 888-533-6758. Go straight to the source. SignSource.
J.A. Smith Construction, with 19 years experience, is your trusted choice for construction. Site clearing and grading for new home construction, basement excavation, concrete paving, storm drain installation, fish ponds, and slough dredging. No job is too big or too small. Call Alexander at J.A. Smith Construction at 334-531-0199 or email asmith@jasmithconstruct.com. J.A. Smith Construction, your trusted choice for construction.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Sports Blitz Saturday Sports Countdown. Go to the phone lines now. Welcome in our good friend Luke Robinson, who is in host mode, getting ready to host some people at his house to watch some college football today in the college football playoffs that does not have Alabama in it for the first time, Luke. And so we'll kind of start there. First of all, glad to have you on with us, brother, and hope you guys had a Merry Christmas.
Definitely had a Merry Christmas. All the kids kind of got what they wanted, and even though they wanted everything, and I think they got as much as they could get, or as much as that he could put on his credit card with the limits I have, and so there we go.
Hey, there you go. It makes for a happy Christmas for everybody but the guy toting the card. But let's start with Alabama's absence from the college football playoffs this year. Luke, Alabama going to the Citrus Bowl to play a Michigan team that I texted you yesterday and said, am I missing something with a 7-point spread on this game? Alabama favored by 7, and I was shocked, frankly, that it was only 7. I'm so used to Alabama having double-digit point spreads, and against this Michigan team that, frankly, I don't feel like is all that good. I mean, I know that they had some decent wins this year, but against some of their better opponents, kind of got it taken to them. Just your opening thoughts on that point spread and Alabama not being in the playoffs.
Well, as far as Alabama not being in the playoffs, obviously they didn't deserve to be. It just the thing that makes it more infuriating is that, I mean, I could make the argument that Oklahoma didn't necessarily deserve to be either. I think Alabama's a better team than Oklahoma, but Oklahoma has, they have an easier path, and that's just the way the ball bounces sometimes, and I can live with that. If we hadn't been to the last 5, it would be a little tougher to swallow. But I don't think this team deserved to win, and if they had made the playoffs, I think they would have lost. I mean, there's way too many injuries, and it's a problem. I mean, it didn't necessarily show as much against Auburn. Well, I guess it did. I mean, missing, obviously, Dylan Moses, Joshua McMillan, Trey Sanders, on down the list. LeBron Ray, I mean, guys that they didn't lose. Outside of Dylan Moses, I don't guess they lost anybody that just jumped off the page at you. But, man, even having LeBron Ray, I think Alabama would have a good shot at being either undefeated or only one loss and probably in the playoffs. But that's neither here nor there, and they didn't make it. They just you got to roll with what you got. And injuries are a part of it for everybody. And it was Alabama's turn to have a catastrophic season in terms of injuries. So, hey, as far as missing the playoffs, I mean, from my point of view, man, it's probably saving me a bunch of money because I've been to all the others. And even though it's in Atlanta, it's expensive to go to these things. So I'm kind of, looking forward to sitting around watching these other two teams play. Now, as far as Alabama-Michigan goes, yeah, I'm sort of with you. I don't understand why it's only a 7-point spread. I guess it goes back to the injuries. Now it's not just injuries. It's also Terrell Lewis and, who else is sitting out? Diggs. Trayvon Diggs is sitting out this game. So those two guys being out, may affect the spread to some degree. And it also may affect the spread that I would say in general, Big Ten teams tend to take these bowl games pretty doggone seriously. I mean, and I don't know that SEC teams always do. That may not be something that's
well, let me cut you off right there, Luke. Let me cut you off and ask you a question that pertains to that. You said that you're looking forward to actually staying at home and just kind of chilling out. Is that the mentality of most Alabama fans? Because you guys have been so used to going to playoff games and spending. Is that what most? Do you think there'll be a decent crowd at the Citrus Bowl that'll follow this team down there? Is Alabama motivated to play in this game? I mean, with guys sitting out, injuries. I mean, I'm just using you as an example. Not saying that you're not interested, obviously, but I think a lot of Alabama fans go, "Well, I'm just going to take a year off." Does that affect the mentality and the approach of this game for the team?
I have seen on Twitter, I don't know anybody going to the game, but I have seen on Twitter a lot of people still saying they're going to the game because it's easy to get to. You can drive down there, you can go to Orlando and go to Disney World, do some things like that. So I've seen some people talking about going to the game. However, I think it's going to be like everybody else with a bowl game, sort of, okay, it'd be great to win this thing, but it's not a life-changing event if we don't. And I think you approach it just like a regular game. And also, as far as Saban goes, I think Saban's going to approach it as, hey, let's turn Mac Jones loose and see what he can do. So I think we'll see a lot of him. But Najee Harris is going to play. Jerry Jeudy is going to play. So I think that's some serious matchup problems for Michigan right there. But as far as the Alabama attitude towards the game, I think it is sort of, hey, at first I think everybody was disappointed, but now that it's gotten closer to game time and it is Michigan, I think Alabama fans are beginning to take it a little more seriously. I just don't think it's – I mean, look, let's face it, the bowl game is not as serious as even, say, an Alabama-Texas A&M regular season game. I mean, it doesn't mean the same. It would be great to win it. I'd love to stomp on Jim Harbaugh's face, but I don't know if that's necessarily going to happen. You don't know what you're going to get with these bowl games. I mean, look, who knew that when Iowa and USC played each other, that Iowa would look like the more athletic team? I mean, that's exactly what happened last night. So you don't know who's going to come out with what mentality and what players are going to have their eye on the NFL draft.
Yeah, good points, Luke. A couple more minutes here. We want to hold you over to talk some more about Alabama basketball. But to close out here, a couple more minutes in this segment, from a football standpoint, recruiting class, didn't really have a chance to talk to you much about that. Last week kind of hit on it a little bit. Heading into next year with guys like Trey Sanders coming back and some of these guys, what's your thoughts on Tua? Do you have an idea of where he might, where he stands, and how healthy will he be when he comes back from a hip injury that let's just face it, it was a tough injury. So if he does come back, how much of a Tua will we get back if he decides to come back to Alabama?
Yeah, I think that's a huge question. I mean, a several million-dollar question because, I mean, if he does stay in the draft and he does fall even late into the first round, it could cost him several millions of dollars. But the other side of that is that's several millions of dollars that he would still get if he were to go in the first round. That would be guaranteed money. So I don't think anybody knows exactly what Tua is going to do right now. I mean, I don't think Tua knows. I don't think his family knows. I don't think his doctor knows. I don't think anybody knows. And as far as the recovery, again, who knows there as well? It just is different strokes for different folks. And some people recover differently. As you know, one of the mysteries of the human body. I mean, some people can just heal a little bit faster. And some people it takes a little bit of time. So I would lean towards Tua leaving. I mean, honestly, something like 51-49 in favor of his leaving. But it would not shock me in the least if he came back with some of the other guys. I think Jerry Judy's probably gone. I think Najee Harris is probably gone. Obviously, Terrell Lewis and Trevon Diggs are gone. But, you know, somebody like a Devontae Smith, a Henry Ruggs, guys like that, Dylan Moses even, they may all be back. And if they are, Alabama's going to be pretty powerful again next year.
Luke, we're up against another break. When we come back, we'll continue to talk about Alabama athletics. We'll dive into some basketball talk. Stay tuned. More of the Sports Blitz Saturday Sports Countdown right after this.
Hi, this is Brian Bice with Bice Motors. With our all-star lineup of Dodge trucks, Jeep, SUVs, and Chrysler cars, we offer the area team dedicated to making your next vehicle purchase a positive experience. Our sales team offers competitive pricing, and we back up all sales with service department second to none. Bice Motors also offers the area's best selection of pre-owned vehicles. Visit Bice Motors at 2133 Cherokee Road in Alexander City.
Guaranteed lowest price. Buy it at Bice Motors.
Hey Realtors, do you know about LMG Ad Agency? We build your brand and help sell your properties or a unique lifestyle so you can focus on your clients. We focus on professional photos, videos, aerial photography and videography, and commercial real estate. We'd love to tell your story. Contact us today at 256-392-4250 or visit our website at lmgadagency.com.
Hey, slow down, buddy. This ain't Talladega, and that race car driver's number on your back window, you ain't him. Truth is, just 10 miles over the speed limit, and your chances of killing someone are 4 times higher. So forget the number on your window and memorize the one on that orange prison jumpsuit. Stop speeding before speeding stops you.
Drive safe, Alabama. A message from your Alabama Department of Transportation.
You already know the power and reliability of a Mahindra tractor. Get ready to meet their ATV and UTV lines. Haul more and tow more. Do more. Reaching speeds up to 60 miles an hour. Models have a 12-inch ground clearance and the ability to haul up to 1,200 pounds. There's a Mahindra utility vehicle and a model specifically to get the job done. Test drive today at Lake Martin Tractor and Outdoor. Serving Tallapoosa, Coosa, Clay, and Talladega counties. 256-392-3613.
Alex City Marine's located on Cherokee Road in Alexander City, and the Yerkes invite you by to see what they have available today. The 2020 Manitous and Landaus are in, and boy, are they gorgeous. Also, some great deals on demos. Take advantage of that while they last. Alex City Marine also is doing shrink wrapping, storage. Get in line now. In fact, call this number, 256-215-FISH. Alex City Marine, Alex City.
Luke, I got to throw this in there as we come back on the air. Mississippi State, Garrett Schrader will not be playing because of an undisclosed injury suffered in a post-practice altercation with a teammate. Boy, they really got things rolling in the right direction over there in Starkville.
I'm telling you, that boy's trying to get fired is all I got.
I mean, we were talking about fits for programs yesterday on Auburn Blitz and how Mark Richt wasn't a fit for Miami. I don't know that I know who anybody is the right fit for Miami. I think that program is just deteriorated down to nothing. But, man, this guy, Moorhead, he's not the fit in Mississippi State. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Gene Chizik when he was at Auburn, to kind of get a lot of this and a lot of bad results on the football field. But we'll kind of shift out of that. I just had to mention that. It's pretty embarrassing for Mississippi State fans because he's definitely the better of the two quarterbacks, but they can't seem to keep things under wraps enough without having to fight and hurt their own teammate. All right, Alabama basketball. Luke, just your thoughts as Alabama heads into SEC play and a preview of what this team, you think this team can do in SEC play.
Well, obviously they missed out on a couple opportunities to get nice wins. The win against Penn in the first game, or the loss against Penn, is not going to be a horrible loss. Penn's a pretty good team, but you had your best player at the free throw line shoot 2 free throws to either tie it or win it, and he missed them both, and that was a shame. And then, of course, you play at Penn State. You have the lead most of the game. This Penn State team is really, really good. I mean, they're going to make the NCAA tournament, no doubt. And you had the chance to win it, and you kind of blew it late. But this team is playing a little better now. You're finally starting to see the stamp of the new coaching regime's identity, and I think that's pretty huge. I mean, they're playing very hard, and I think you could even play harder. Just like the football team, the injuries for Alabama have been throughout the university. I mean, you lose Rojas, the junior college guy that you really, really wanted. You lose him for the season to an ACL. You lose another one of your key recruits in Gary from South Carolina. He's out for the year. And then there's one other guy who's been hurt, and, of course, Beetle Bolden and Herb Jones. They've dealt with different varying injuries, and it just, man, those things add up when you play the pace that this staff wants to play, and you play the schedule this team has played. I mean, Alabama did beat Stephen F. Austin, who did go to Duke and win. So, I mean, that's a good win there. But they have got a tough one coming up against Richmond. Richmond, I think their only loss is against Auburn, and they're like 11-1, 12-1, something like that. And so Alabama plays them on Sunday, and that's like a 1-point spread. If Alabama can get that win and get some momentum going into the SEC, that'd be great. Because here's the thing. The SEC does not look that great. We all thought going into this season, oh, wow, the league will be much better with all the big recruits everybody got. And, we thought LSU would be gangbusters. We thought Florida would be incredible. We thought Kentucky would just be Kentucky. Well, it really hadn't turned out that way. I mean, Kentucky's lost at home to Evansville. They just got beat up by Ohio State. They've lost a few other games. LSU's lost several games. They lost at home to, I want to say, East Tennessee State. South Carolina hadn't looked that great. They gave Virginia fits the other night, but that's just because neither team can score. So in Tennessee, they've lost a guy that's key to their season, and they lost at home to Memphis. So I think there's some games out there that can be had. I think Alabama can go to Florida and have a shot. I mean, but prior to the season, I said, okay, that's a loss. And now I think, well, I mean, they at least have a shot. And so that's a good thing for Alabama, that the league has come back down to earth a little bit from where maybe our expectations were.
And Luke, speaking of expectations, all right, with Nate Oates coming in, obviously now you're looking at a transition year, and Alabama's dealt with its a mainstay of injuries, as you alluded to. But heading into SEC play, from a fan standpoint, what's the overall expectation kind of for how the rest of this season plays out? And I know that you deal more compared to maybe some other Alabama fans in basketball circles. So what's the feel of the fans surrounding the rest of the season?
Well, it was funny. I played basketball for the first time in probably about a year and a half yesterday in Birmingham. And when I went up there to play, a guy named Jason Reese, who played at Alabama, he had the pretty famous dunk against Auburn, where Alabama had won pretty big, and he ends up dunking over two guys. I mean, just sort of a walk-on kind of guy, but he still follows Alabama basketball pretty religiously. He graduated in 05. And so I talked to him a second about it. I said, well, what are your thoughts? I mean, what do you see this team? And he said that he's seeing them play very hard. He's got some high expectations, but it's going to be, these early losses will probably cost us. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But if we use them the right way, they can catapult us, meaning they can maybe be motivation for us to say, okay, this is what we have to do to win. You saw if you don't do this and this and this, you will lose the game. Well, so now you know what you have to do to win, and the only thing you have to do is implement that. And I think Alabama's got a shot. If they look, I want to go 500 in league play. That's my goal. If Alabama can get to 500 in league play and steal a game or two in the tournament, and maybe win that game against Kansas State, the Big 12 challenge, I feel like Alabama will at least have a shot to hear their name on Selection Sunday.
Luke, a couple more minutes. I think Alabama's success this year hinges on one play, and that's that's Petty. I think Petty has to have the performances. Alabama is a different team when he's hitting shots. If he couples with Kyra Lewis seems to be your stalwart, the guy that's consistent, the guy that's going to go out and perform. You know how he's going to perform every night. But if you add Petty into the mix and what Petty can do, Alabama becomes a dangerous team. And if he's not hitting, Alabama becomes an average team.
Oh, there's no doubt. And look, I like Petty a lot too. And what I've said about him ever since he's been in Alabama, he's the best shooter I've ever seen. I mean, everybody talks about he's nothing but a shooter. He's nothing but a shooter. And I'm like, well, until recently, he hasn't been a great shooter. I mean, he shoots a lot. Because you shoot a lot, it doesn't make you a great shooter. You got to make a lot. And he is just now starting to make a lot of these. And so maybe the rim's opening up a little bit for him. I know, he's the kind of guy, he raises up on his jump shot. He's got good elevation. He's got pretty good form. He's got the confidence. I mean, he's the opposite of Herb Jones. He's playing without any confidence. And until the last game, Herb Jones finally started turning it around a little bit. So I'm hoping he can begin to. I mean, look, he's been missing dunks all year.
I mean, he is. Luke, let me step in. I don't know what's wrong with Herb. He's one of the worst offensive players I've ever seen. He gives you something on the defensive side, but man, I tell you, and it's not because I'm an Auburn person and it's Alabama. If he were on Auburn, look, I've given Austin Wiley enough grief about being, having cement block hands. But, man, I'm telling you, Herb Jones he literally can't throw it in the ocean standing in the ocean.
Austin Wiley is Reggie Miller compared to Herb Jones. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And, but I think his thing is lack of confidence. He just doesn't have it. He missed a few shots at some point in his career at Alabama, and it really just threw him for a loop.
It has been a traumatic experience for him.
He missed dunks. He missed layups. He just makes bad shots. He couldn't dribble the ball. But I think that's what this coaching staff is trying to do, is say, look, you're a good player. Just slow down. You don't have to be, just make the easy one and then try and make the next one and try and make the next one. You're not going to make them all up in one shot. You've got to, you're going to have to make just one, and then the others will start falling. And I think that's how John Petty's approach is. I mean, he hit 10 threes a couple years ago, and that was great. But since then, he's been sort of on again, off again. He had a good game against Auburn in the SEC tournament a couple years ago. But he's really not been a guy that I'm like, oh, he was a lesser Rod Broussard. Every time he shot, I'm like, yeah, I want him to take it, but I have no confidence he's going to make it. But now I have confidence he's going to make it. When he rises up, I think, okay, this has a good shot of going in, no matter where he is.
All right, Luke, real quick, 30 seconds, your picks for today's game in the college football playoffs, real quick.
LSU wins, but Oklahoma covers, and I'm going to go with Clemson to win over Ohio State. So Tigers in New Orleans, and LSU once again plays for a national championship in New Orleans for the fourth straight time.
In their backyard. Crazy how that works out. Luke, appreciate it, buddy, and we'll talk to you next week.
I got you.
Thanks so much. Up against the break. Stay tuned. More of the Saturday Sports Countdown right after this.
Scotty Fortenberry is Dadeville and the Lake Martin area's full-service Alpha agent. His office on Broadneck Street offers comprehensive life, home, auto, and boat insurance at Alpha's competitive rates. Scotty and Alpha Insurance are Alabama's #1 life insurance company for a reason. You'll always get the personal attention you and your family need. Scotty also has your commercial needs covered, so whether it's just a quote or full insurance evaluation, call Alpha agent Scotty Fortenberry at 256-825-9211.
Become a member of the Superior family. Superior GMC Cadillac, Superior Hyundai, or Superior Automotive Pre-Owned. Between our 3 dealers in East Central Alabama, we offer the superior selection and service for any buyer's needs. All with the personal touch of being locally family-owned and operated. Check out any of our dealers online, or our 3 great lots in Anniston on Quintard, or our pre-owned superstore in Pell City, and join the Superior family of value.
Heritage South Credit Union in Alexander City is your community credit union, and they have been for over 80 years. Heritage South Credit Union proudly serves Tallapoosa, Coosa, Lee, Chambers, Randolph, and Chilton counties. From checking to business accounts, to share savings to club accounts, to their kids club and investments. Visit them online at myhscu.com. Heritage South Credit Union, your community credit union for 80 years. Federally insured by NCUA.
Did your team just win the big game? Are you looking for a unique way to honor a valuable employee? Lila's Engraving has you covered, offering a large selection of custom trophies and plaques. Lila's also offers cast aluminum car tags, custom engraved wine glasses, clocks, and wood cutting boards. They even offer custom framing for any art or picture as well. Lila's combines the best quality items with the fastest service around. With over 27 years of experience in the Alexander City and Lake Martin areas, Lila's Engraving is your only choice for custom awards and engraved gifts. Always remember, winners choose Lila's.
Guys, it's back! Inline skating.
Rock and roll hair?
Calling this thing a pound sign instead of a hashtag? No, the Zensation is back at Zaxby's.
The Zensation Salad is back, and introducing the new Zensation Filet Sandwich Meal with hand-breaded chicken, Asian slaw, wonton strips, and citrus vinaigrette, both served with an egg roll. The Zensation Salad and Filet Sandwich Meal, only at Zaxby's.
The door's open, the beer's cold, and the biscuits are hot at Foshee Watts on Dable Road in Alexander City. Fishing season is in year-round, and live bait is available. Non-ethanol gas is available along with propane and pellet ice. So come on by and see what we're all about, where the kitchen is open Monday through Friday early at Foshee Watts on Dable Road in Alexander City. And tell them old Katie sent you right here from the front porch, WAXC TV.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Sports Blitz Saturday Sports Countdown. I can tell you one thing, we hadn't laughed as much in a while up here. I mean, it's been, I have to cut put the volume down on the phone. But anyway, it's been one of those mornings, it's for sure. I want to thank Luke for being part of the program, talk a little bit about Alabama on the football and the basketball side. I really think he's got some good points there. I told you in the first hour about Nate Oates and where this team's going. I think they've got a chance to be pretty dangerous. Now, that's a daunting first 4 games for them in league play. You got to start on the road at Florida, And then you have Mississippi State come to Alabama, then you go on the road to Kentucky, and then you come back home to Auburn.
They could legitimately be 0-4 coming out of that stretch, and that sets the tone for the entirety of the league play at that point. So, I don't know.
Tough games. Obviously, and I think he's right. I said this too, and I said on Gary Harris's show yesterday on Tide 100 that this league has a lot of good teams. It doesn't have a lot of great teams. It's got a lot of good teams that every single night, like we talked about in the first hour, you better come ready to play. Alabama could have a few things go right, and they could be right there in the mix. Arkansas is a team a lot of people are not talking about. I think they've only lost 2 games. Tennessee, is going to be tough. South Carolina's already proven you can go. Although he's right, it was a battle of 2 teams that can't score, but South Carolina still went on the road to Charlottesville and beat Virginia, the defending national champs. There's a lot of teams that on any given night can beat you at home or on the road. So that's just the nature of this league now. We'll kind of shift off. We talked a lot about Alabama and the Michigan game and kind of what their expectations are in the fan base. I really feel like there's a lot of Alabama fans just that look at this game as, hey, I'm going to take a year off. It's like Luke said. I know Luke knew what he was saying, but I think that kind of explains the mentality of what Alabama fans and this team may have going in this game. Now, Nick Saban has also stressed, kind of like Gus Malzahn, he goes, look, I know what we've done in the past years when we hadn't made the national championship and the playoffs, and we've kind of gone in against Utah and we've gone in against Oklahoma and not played well and gotten beat. I think he stressed that to this team. We're not going to do that this year. That's bad news for Michigan, in my opinion. You remember the year, I think it was 2010, when Auburn won the national championship game. Alabama had to go to, was it the Citrus Bowl? Was it the Citrus Bowl again? And play Michigan State. It was either that or the Outback Bowl. I think it was the State. Yeah. And they might as well have backed up a hospital to the back of the stadium. They were wheeling Michigan State players off left and right because Alabama went in and they were so mad that they didn't make it that they went out and took out their frustrations on Michigan State. So I'm not saying it could be that same kind of game, but Alabama's either going to come out with their hair on fire and just demolish Michigan, or it's going to be a struggle for them because they're not mentally into it. And how many Alabama fans will travel? I think because of the venue, with it being Orlando, it gives Alabama fans a chance to take another little vacation, go down there. There's a lot to do in Orlando, as Luke said, Disney World, Universal, things like that, so you make it a fun trip. So I think that there'll still be a good contingent of Alabama fans, but they have been used to going to playoff games and national championships, and that's not the case this year, so I think it could have an effect on them.
Yeah, and this really reminds me more of like the 2000 or so the Utah year and the Oklahoma year where, they lost toward the end of the tail end of the season. Yep. It's kind of what they're going to be remembered for. So with 2010, you at least had the early loss to South Carolina. Sure. So then that kind of changed, that kind of set the tone for them. So if you're somebody who's contemplating coming out or a senior, you do want to go out on top, but at the same time, it may not mean as much, maybe comparative to if you had a close season. It's all right, we're going out. We're not going to go out like that. So a lot of pressure, I think, on Nick Saban to make sure that, some of these guys are kind of teetering on the line on what they're doing. That gets solidified quickly.
Let's shift over and talk about Auburn. The last couple of segments, Auburn going to the Outback Bowl. The last time Auburn in the Outback Bowl, they played Northwestern, went to overtime, won the game. Kind of propelled them into what they did the next year. Now, of course, Cam Newton showing up on campus helped a lot. But standing on that field, me and Randy were on the sideline for that game, just glad to get the win. Nobody down there on the field, anybody thought, man, a year from now we'll be playing for a national championship. That's how quick you can kind of propel yourself into that position. But that could be looked at again. I'm not saying, Auburn's going to be in a national championship game. I'd love to see Auburn make the playoffs next year. This could be a propelling factor into next year. Bo Nix coming back as a sophomore, had a great freshman season. Auburn 9-3, trying to get that 10th win for the 15th time in school history. I mean, that's a big deal, and I think they're focusing on that. And Andy kind of wrote down some things. We didn't even go through this yesterday. We didn't have time. So I want to hit some of these things up, why Auburn wins and why Auburn loses this game, which I hope the latter part doesn't happen. But why Auburn wins, Auburn is more talented, obviously, when it comes to recruiting rankings provided by 24/7. Minnesota's average national player ranking is 678 on offense, facing an Auburn defense with an average ranking of 417. Auburn's offense has an average ranking of 585 and will face a Gopher defense with an average ranking of 1,011.
Let me tell you something real quick about what's going to happen in this game.
Okay, I hope you, yeah.
It won't be like Purdue in terms of the score, but in terms of how Auburn.
How dominant.
I mean, with no offensive coordinator, Kevin Steele, with all his boys coming back, I mean,
You think it'll be a total smothering?
I think it's going to be a total smothering.
And very well, but we're going.
Yeah, I didn't mean to go.
No, but I get it. I feel there's a part of me that feels that way too. But you know, I'm hesitant to say they are 10-2. They do have a good coach over there. They've got a 1,000-yard receiver, a 1,000-yard rusher, a guy that can throw it around the field. But if he doesn't have time, I understand that. Auburn's strength schedule is number 2 nationally compared to the Gophers at 98. They lost.
Who's number 1?
South Carolina. I mean, look at it.
Okay. All right.
They had Clemson, Georgia. I mean, Alabama. It was brutal, but not by much over us. And Florida. They had a tough schedule. I think this is where you look at it. They lost to Iowa and Wisconsin, 2 of their last 3 games. That was 2 of the best opponents on their schedule outside of Penn State. They really only won 1 game that was worth a darn, and that was Penn State. They lost to Wisconsin. They lost to Iowa. They've lost 2 out of 3 coming into this game. They're about to play their toughest opponent of the season. Yeah. And so I think that's another strike against them.
I just think in games like this is one where Auburn really we've been asking for more of the running game, and I think you could see this where the offensive line really goes out and dominates the line of scrimmage. Because athletically, you have to think on both sides of the ball. That's where Auburn will have their greatest advantages on the line of scrimmage.
Up against the break, we come back, we'll finish running this list down on why Auburn wins the game and then the possibility of why Auburn could lose the game. Stay tuned, more of the Saturday Sports Countdown right after this.
Our number 1 concern, advanced heat and air.
With the hot summer season just around the corner, it's time to decide if your current air conditioning system will keep you cool this year. Call Advanced Heating and Air Conditioning for a free estimate on a brand new energy-efficient Trane heat pump system for your home or business. Your comfort is our number 1 concern. Call Advanced Heating and Air Conditioning at 256-234-5052.
WOTM, your new home for high school sports in Alabama. WOTM has you covered with live coverage of all 7 championship games of the Super 7. WOTM is available to all TV providers in Alabama. If WOTM is not currently a part of your channel lineup, call your provider and request that they add WOTM. WOTM, your exclusive TV home for the AHSAA Super 7 basketball, baseball, and softball championships. All live only on WOTM.
Growing your business isn't just one thing, it's a million little things. Should you lease, rent, or own? How fast can you get that part? Does it fit the budget? That's what your local Cat dealer is here for. With expert advice, flexible financing, and industry-leading equipment, you can get the job done day after day. Visit ThompsonCat.com, your compact equipment provider.
Grab a 5-quart jug of Napa conventional motor oil for only $12.99 for a limited time at Napa Auto Parts. We're ready for back to school, even if you aren't ready. Purchase any Napa automotive battery and receive $25 back by mail at Napa Auto Parts.
Life is a sequence of little successes.
The story of my Southern Union success began the day I walked on campus, making new friends, mastering a new skill, reaching a personal goal. The encore performance, the first date, the internship, and now, soon, the dream job. That's the story of my Southern Union success. Register for classes and get ready to watch your Southern Union story come to life.
The Prestige Selection at Gill's Auto Sales in Opelika has the largest selection of prestige cars, trucks, and SUVs in Central and East Alabama, all with financing available, little to no money down, and extended warranties. Get pre-qualified in under 2 minutes, online or from your mobile device at GillsPrestigeOnline.com. It's the Prestige Selection at Gill's Auto Sales, 1430 Gateway Drive in Opelika.
Couple more left in today's show. Again, want to thank everybody for joining us here on the Saturday Sports Countdown every Saturday from 7 to 9, getting your Saturday morning started off. We talked a little bit about why Auburn's going to win this game. A couple more things. The Tigers have the edge up front. Ranked number 17 in tackles for loss nationally. They face a Gopher offense that is number 66 in tackles for loss. So they give up a lot of negative plays. Auburn is 38 in tackles for loss and will face a Minnesota defense that is 113. So they don't get in the backfield. Their defense doesn't give, a lot of opposing quarterbacks, fits. And Bo Nix kind of being a sophomore now, from a status standpoint, having a whole year under his belt, he's been in the swamp. He's played, at LSU. He's been on the road, and he just beat Alabama. This isn't going to be some daunting threat to him looking across the way as far as from a quarterback standpoint.
You bring up the sophomore point, like that. The bowl preparation for him, I think may be the most valuable thing about Auburn being in a bowl game this year.
Oh, yeah.
Is having this length of time with him and Chad Morris. I think that you look back at 2009 when Gus came in and – even though it was with Cody or whatever, you still had a whole month with the team beforehand to get with that. So I think that this is really big for Bo and for Coach Morris.
If we were to be negative about it, why would Auburn lose this game? This is why they would lose. Auburn has faced 6 ranked opponents this season, averaging 320 yards and 25 points per game on offense versus those teams. That's another team that they'll be facing. Look, again, it's not apples to apples. It's a different schedule. Minnesota played against a lot of lesser-than opponents, so take that for what it's worth. Auburn's pass offense against ranked opponents needs improvement. The Tigers have completed only 49% of their throws for a mediocre 5.1 yards per attempt. Auburn averaged 167 yards passing against the 6 ranked opponents they faced this season. Again, it was a struggle. That got better toward the end of the year. The second half of the Georgia game and into the Alabama game, the last 6 quarters have been a lot better than the previous games that Auburn lost against those ranked teams. So I think a little bit of that's been cured since then.
Yeah, and, again, I think a lot of what's going to happen, though, for this game and going forward really is Kevin Steele's ability to in-game coach. I think that from a preparation standpoint, Malzahn does a really good job from a preparation standpoint, but in-game is very hard to do some of the things that Kevin Steele has done. Excuse me. And so you even, looking at the Georgia game now, granted they took their foot off the gas. You could say that too. But yeah. I think defensively in this game, though, I think we may be approaching double-digit sacks.
Well, and I hope you're right. Here's another important part. Gus Malzahn's won 2 bowl games, and it's been against 2 not very good teams, Memphis and Purdue, in 2 lesser-than bowls. In the bigger bowls, he hadn't won them. This is an opportunity for him to check something off his list, and I think that's a big deal. Finally, since 2014, Auburn is 4-10 against top 20 opposition away from Jordan-Hare Stadium. That's not a good record, period, end of discussion, but happen to be playing a team that's ranked in the top 20, it's 10-2, that maybe on paper looks a lot tougher than they really are compared to the opponents that Auburn's played. So when you weigh all of that, it looks like Auburn, in my opinion, this is just my guess, I think Auburn wins by 17 points.
That's I'd say somewhere it's a 3-score game for sure there. Do you think Fleck? Like I think he's a good coach.
I think PJ Fleck's done a phenomenal job.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, look, he's taken Minnesota to places they've never been as a program. This being one of those, the Outback Bowl. They've never been to the Outback Bowl. It's another first for the program. So he's proving. When you think of Big Ten football, you don't think of Minnesota. Now, maybe back in the 50s you did, but not now, not in the modern age. He kind of goes hand in hand with what we've talked about in the first hour about the U and Texas and Southern Cal and Nebraska. You know, now Minnesota has taken a program that, you know, dead to most people, and a high energetic coach going out doing things a little bit different has brought a little bit of fire to that program and a lot of and some notoriety. So it can go both ways depending on who you have leading your program. So I think that's important to see. But, yeah, I think P.J. Fleck's a very good coach. I don't know how much longer he'll be at Minnesota. I think his ceiling is very high. I think a lot of people felt like that with Tom Herman. Tom Herman just has not been able to get it done.
And I was a big Herman guy. I mean, I still am, but I was very adamant and stuck with him.
I mean, let's just be honest about it. I mean, he's been mediocre at best at Texas.
I mean, and recruiting plays some part in that, but even without that, there should be no reason. Texas A&M should never be any better than Texas at any point, really, if we're being honest about it. And from a resource standpoint, they're doing everything they can. They've invested in the facilities and the coaching. The SEC portion of it brings a different highlight to that program. But with Texas, there's just, I mean, you really only have 2 games a year really on your schedule, truthfully. I mean, you've got whoever your non-conference game is in Oklahoma. You should be able to beat Oklahoma State and Baylor, any of those teams. So there's really no excuse for a team like Texas to not be 9-10 wins every year.
I agree. It's you know, we can do a whole show on these programs that have fallen from grace and not been the program that people thought they should be over the last 10 years. But Texas definitely falls in that category. USC. Another embarrassing loss last night to, like Luke said, an Iowa team that looked more athletic than them. Looked like they changed uniforms. That's how I thought Iowa would look against USC. I thought the roles would be reversed, but just a lot of questions to be answered there. Bowl games coming up. We'll talk about that here in the next segment of the program. Again, we'll break down the last the 2 college football playoff games here in the last segment. Coming up, I mean, Luke made his predictions. You and I will make our predictions on this game and who we think will win the national championship game, Scott, because it's hard to believe it's here. The culmination of college football, it's right here at us. Up against our final break. Stay tuned. More of the Saturday Sports Countdown right after this.
Skag, the toughest name in lawnmowers. Unmatched quality and performance for over 3 decades. The clear choice, the best mower money can buy for work or at home. Top lawn care professionals and discerning homeowners know that Skag means productivity and reliability. Every Skag mower is proudly built right here in the USA. Don't settle for anything less than simply the best. Skag.
Satterfield Outdoor Living on Highway 280 in Alex City.
Hey, it's Steve from the Car Stereo Shop in Auburn, and after 10 years of serving the good people of East Alabama and West Georgia, we're still doing business the same way, offering the best products at the best prices with the area's best warranties and installing them with the area's best technicians. With great customer service, a knowledgeable sales staff, and our commitment to customer satisfaction, along with the best selection of the latest technology in the industry, there's no reason to shop anywhere else. Shop with confidence. Shop at the Car Stereo Shop in Auburn.
Folks around these parts have known for a long time that Walls Tire, just a mile past the bridge on Highway 280, is your #1 stop for automotive service and repair. At Walls Tire, you'll always find quality service at a fair price on everything from AC, name brand tires, big or small repairs, routine maintenance, towing, and more. When your car or truck needs to run right, there's one place in the area to go, conveniently located and easy to find. Walls Tire, just a mile past the bridge on Highway 280.
At Russell Medical, our transitional care unit is a great alternative to nursing home care after a medical or surgical hospital stay. Transitional care increases strength and endurance through skilled nursing and therapy programs to promote a safe return home. Enjoy on-site therapy, private rooms, an activity center, and more. Call Russell Medical today to see if our transitional care unit is the right care for you.
Finding a job might be tough, but starting your new career has never been easier. Wellborn Cabinet in Ashland has a wide array of career opportunities with benefits. General labor production, skilled cabinet builders, product assembly line, shipping, over-the-road truck drivers, clerical, marketing, security, daycare, office clerks, and so much more. Apply in person, 38669 Highway 77 South in Ashland, or online at wellborn.com. Building cabinets, building careers, and building our community.
Since the dawn of time, mankind has needed tools. But not all tools are created equal. AGF Machine Rental Sales and Service has tools for all commercial construction or big residential projects. AGF Machinery offers the most durable and hardworking brands of ASV, Skyjack, and Wacker Neuson. Aerial lifts, scissor lifts, loaders, excavators, and forest equipment on demand for the best possible price. And backed by the Southeast's best team of professionals. Visit any of our strategic locations across Alabama for all your equipment needs. Or online at agfmachinery.com.
Welcome back, everyone. Final segment of the program here. I guess it'll be the final Saturday Sports Countdown, obviously, of 2019. Scott, it's been another good year.
Man.
Appreciate everybody that has tuned in and has followed us and watched us and listened to us and all that good stuff. And we wish everybody a very safe and happy new year going into 2020.
We've been in 2 different decades here.
How about that?
With R&B.
So
all of
2020 though, does that sound futuristic a little bit?
I never thought it would get to that point because you look like, I know for me, when I think 10 years ago, I think it's still 1995 or something like that.
I feel you, buddy, because that was my senior year in high school.
Really?
So I mean, yeah. 1995. That just kind of let the cat out of the bag, didn't it? So, but anyway, glad for every day we have. Glad for every year. Again, we want to thank all of our sponsors. They make it possible for us to do what we do, and the support continues to grow every single year. And while we've been here 13 years, we do it for you guys. You give us an opportunity to give you a platform out there to call in, to send us messages on Facebook, and to watch us on multiple venues. So we appreciate it so much. Bowl game starting here at 11 o'clock this morning. You got 2 of them. Memphis versus Penn State. It's not a bad matchup there in the Cotton Bowl. A 12-1 Memphis team versus a 10-2 Penn State team. Penn State favored by 7.
I like Penn State. In that one. Memphis had a great year.
Norvell's gone. Yeah. I mean, it's just, you get these changes in the coaching staff, stuff like that. It's a different deal, and that's another factor that was not on the paper with Auburn and Minnesota. They don't have their offensive coordinator. Yeah, I think you mentioned it. I think you said Kevin Steele preparing for a team that doesn't have an offensive coordinator could be trouble. Notre Dame versus Iowa State in the Camping World Bowl. That's down in Orlando. Again, they've had 4 bowl games down there, I think, on that field. So, there will be 4 when the what used to be the Capital One Bowl, now it's back to the Citrus Bowl again. Your thoughts on Notre Dame 10-2, Iowa State 7-5? Notre Dame only a 3.5-point favorite in that game.
I like Notre Dame, but this would seem like a quiet year for them. They went 10-2, which for most
it kind of just got squelched when they lost to Georgia. Everything was placed on all bets hinged on that game, and when they didn't pull that game off, it was kind of like everybody forgot about Notre Dame.
But I like them today. That is
it's 11 o'clock start. Yeah. It's kind of weird. Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, the first semifinal game will be up at 3 o'clock today on ESPN. Oklahoma and LSU. LSU is a 13.5-point favorite in this game. Is that too much?
with somebody like Jalen, it is, but they probably are 10 to 14 points better. But I'm an SEC guy, but I'm intrigued and enamored with Jalen Hurts' story, so I'm going to ride with the Sooners in that one.
And finally, Clemson versus Ohio State. Clemson, a 2-point favorite in this game.
I can't go against my Buckeyes.
I knew which way you were going.
So even with Fields has to be healthy, I think, fully healthy for them to win this game, but that one will be in the upper 30s. Both teams will be in the upper 30s in that one, I think.
A couple more minutes left. Justice says, what coaching hire has been the best in y'all's opinion this year? What coaching hire has been the best in our opinion?
I mean, off the top of my head, I don't want to be go back to being a homer, but I think Chad Morris with Auburn is going to be.
I think it could be. I think Norvell going to Florida State could be big for them. I just think he brings a different mentality. Florida State's an offensive-minded team, and they have struggled scoring points. They've struggled stopping. Heck, they struggled to do everything under Willie Taggart. And Jimbo kind of started that. It wasn't all on Willie Taggart, but Jimbo kind of left the program, and I think Mike Norvell kind of rejuvenates that program a little bit. I don't know how much he gets them back to where they want to be, but it's definitely a shot in the arm for them. I like the hire as far as that concerned. But I'm with you. I think Chad Morris is a big deal. I think Auburn needed a shot in the arm. They needed some help in the passing game. That's where his knowledge is on this offense. He's more comfortable throwing the football. Gus is more comfortable running. I think the combination could be really, really good.
Yeah, and as we're wrapping up, the thing that you've probably heard the most about Gus Malzahn was his inability to develop a quarterback.
That's
so
right. And that's another
marrying those two.
What can he do for Bo Nix the next 2 years?
I think that this should be an exciting time for the Tigers the next few years with him on the Plains.
Scott, it's been a lot of fun today. The show flew by. Always does when we have fun up here. So we want to thank everybody again for watching and listening out there. I want to wish everybody a safe and happy New Year as we head into year 2020. For Scott Hardy, I'm Brett Pritchard saying we enjoyed it. We hope you did. See you next year.